HOA illegally built 83 condos on my property, finds I own a demolition company, but could they imagine what I had planned for them? I pulled up to what should have been empty land and my stomach dropped. Rows of luxury condos with fresh paint, manicured lawns, actual families walking around on my 5 acres. My hands were shaking as I gripped the steering wheel. I've been overseas for 18 months. Military deployment in Afghanistan. The second my boots hit American soil, I drove straight here. My grandfather left me this property when he passed 2 years ago. I had the original deed, the survey maps, everything in my glove compartment. A security guard and a golf cart blocked my truck. Private property, sir. Residents only. Yeah, mine. I pulled out the deed, hands still trembling. This is my land. His eyes went wide. He grabbed his radio. I've got a situation at the south entrance. Guy claiming he owns the development. Within 5 minutes, a black SUV screeched up. Out stepped Eleanor Walsh, HOA president. Mid-50s designer suit that probably cost more than my truck. Hair pulled back so tight it looked painful. She extended a manicured hand with a practiced smile. I'm Eleanor Walsh, and you are Mike Reynolds, owner of this land? I didn't shake her hand. Her smile stayed frozen. Mr. Reynolds, there must be some confusion. This development has been in progress for over a year. All proper channels were followed. I showed her photos on my phone, the empty land I'd taken pictures of before deployment. No confusion. This is my grandfather's property, 5 acres. I have the deed right here. Perhaps we should discuss this in my office rather than making a scene. Her voice had an edge now. As we walked toward the community center, I noticed curtains moving in windows, people watching. One woman in yoga pants marched straight toward us. Eleanor, my sprinklers still aren't working and maintenance keeps ignoring my calls. She stopped when she saw me, looked me up and down. Who's this? You're not moving in, are you? Because we have very strict rules about lawn care, vehicle parking, and exterior modifications. Mr. Reynolds was just leaving. Eleanor cut in smoothly, but I saw her jaw clench. Inside her office, all glass and chrome and pretentious artwork. Her demeanor shifted. The fake warmth disappeared. She slid a thick stack of papers across her desk. These are the rezoning approvals, environmental assessments, and purchase documents. As you can see, everything is completely in order. I flipped through them slowly. My heart was pounding. Then I saw it. A signature at the bottom of the sale agreement. My signature, except I'd never signed anything. This isn't my signature. Eleanor sighed like I was a child. Mr. Reynolds, we sent multiple certified notices to your address. When we received signed approval, we proceeded through all legal channels. We have timestamps, notary seals, everything. I was deployed overseas. I never received any notices, and I sure as hell never. Sign this. She leaned forward, her voice dropping. Look, I understand you're upset, but these condos house 83 families, people with children, elderly parents. One woman just beat cancer and finally found a place she could afford. What exactly do you expect to happen here? You want to displace all of them? My phone buzzed on her desk. Text from my business partner. Boss, welcome home. When you coming by the office? Got 3 new demo contracts waiting for your signature. Big money. Eleanor's eyes flicked to my phone screen, then to the logo on my phone case, then through her office window to my truck parked outside. Her face went completely pale. You're in the demolition business. Her voice came out thin, strained. I stood up slowly. I am. Precision Demolition Services. We take down buildings all over the state. I leaned on her desk and I don't appreciate finding my property demolished and rebuilt without my permission. Mr. Reynolds, please be reasonable. I'm going to be very reasonable. I'll have my lawyer contact yours by end of business today. In the meantime, talk to the residents yourself. Eleanor walked me outside where a small group had gathered. The yoga pants woman front and center. Did Eleanor tell you we all invested? The woman said. We paid for landscaping upgrades, pool renovations, things that haven't been built yet. If this falls apart, we lose that money. An elderly man stepped forward. Some of us cashed out IRAs for the deposits. We can't get that back. I looked at Eleanor and saw something worse than malice. She'd convinced desperate people to fund her mistakes, and now they were all trapped together and none of them wanted to admit they'd been fooled. Eleanor was sweating now, literally sweating through that expensive suit. Her makeup was starting to run a little at the temples. The residents kept talking over each other, voices getting louder. A younger guy in a business suit pushed to the front. I moved here 3 months ago for work, signed a 5-year lease. Are you seriously saying this whole place is illegal? I didn't answer. I was watching Eleanor's face, the way her eyes darted between me and the crowd, calculating. She cleared her throat. Everyone, please, let's not panic. Mr. Reynolds and I will work this out privately. There's no need to— I'm calling my lawyer right now, I said, pulling out my phone. Eleanor's hand shot out like she was going to grab it, then stopped herself. The crowd went silent. I dialed. Hey, it's Mike. Yeah, I'm back. Listen, I need you to meet me at that property Grandpa left me. You're not gonna believe this. Eleanor's voice came out strangled. Mr. Reynolds, if you could just give me 1 week to— To what? I cut her off. Forge more signatures? The crowd gasped. Yeah, I said, louder now so everyone could hear. This signature on the sale agreement? Not mine. I was in Afghanistan. Never got any notices, never agreed to any of this. A woman with a baby in a stroller started crying. We just moved in last month. We sold our old house. Where are we supposed to go? The elderly man from before grabbed my arm. Son, please. My wife has stage 4 cancer. The stress of moving again, it could kill her. I felt sick. These weren't bad people. They were just people who'd been lied to. And Eleanor was still standing there with that frozen smile, like if she just kept pretending everything was fine, it would all go away. My lawyer picked up. Mike, what's going on? I explained the situation, told him about the forged signature, the 83 condos, the families. I could hear him typing furiously. He said he'd be there in 2 hours with paperwork to file an injunction. When I hung up, Eleanor looked like she might throw up. Mr. Reynolds, she said, her voice shaking now. Can we please speak privately? Just 5 minutes. I followed her back inside. The second the door closed, she dropped into her chair and put her face in her hands. I know how this looks, she said, but you have to understand, I was trying to help people. The housing market here is insane. These families needed somewhere affordable to live. By stealing my land? I didn't steal it. The paperwork said, you forged my signature, Eleanor. She looked up at me, mascara smudged. I didn't. I swear. The construction company, they handled all the paperwork. I just kept the project going. What construction company? She hesitated. My ex-husband's. He started this development 2 years ago, but when we divorced, he abandoned it. I didn't want all that work to go to waste, so you just decided to keep building on land you didn't own? She stood up, pacing. You don't understand. After my divorce, I had nothing. No career, no purpose. This development, it was supposed to be my fresh start, proof that I could accomplish something on my own. By committing fraud? Her face crumpled. I just wanted people to need me. That's when it hit me. Eleanor wasn't a criminal mastermind. She was just deeply, desperately lonely, and she'd built an entire fake empire to feel important. It didn't make what she'd done okay, but it explained the weird desperation in her eyes. I left the office and drove straight to my hotel. My lawyer called an hour later. Mike, this is worse than you thought. The property title was never legally transferred. Eleanor's ex-husband's construction company started building without proper permits. When they got caught, he divorced her and dissolved the company. Eleanor just kept going, forging documents to make it look legitimate. How is that even possible? She had access to his company stamps and signatures from the marriage, and the county office is understaffed. They didn't catch it. What about the residents? Their leases are void. They're technically squatting on your property, even though they didn't know it. I didn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about that woman with the baby, the old man with the sick wife. They'd invested their life savings into a lie. And Eleanor had let them, had encouraged them, because she needed to feel like she mattered. The next morning, I drove back to the property. I needed to see it again, needed to walk through it without Eleanor breathing down my neck. I parked on the street and walked past the entrance. The security guard recognized me and didn't try to stop me. Word had spread. A few residents watched from their windows, but nobody came outside. I walked through the development, really looked at it. The condos were nice, I had to admit. Well built, attractive. The landscaping was professional. There was a playground where kids were playing, their laughter echoing through the morning air. An old woman was walking her dog. A teenager was washing his car in one of the driveways. It looked like a real community, and in a way it was. These people had built lives here, even if the foundation was rotten. I sat down on a bench near the community center. My phone buzzed. Text from my business partner. Boss, got a call from someone named Eleanor Walsh. She's offering us $50K to demolish select units only. Said you'd know what she meant. Want me to tell her to fuck off? I stared at that message for a long time. $50,000. That was probably every cent Eleanor had, and she wanted to pay me to tear down her own dream. No, I texted back. Tell her I'll call her myself. But I didn't call her. Not yet. Instead, I sat there on that bench, watching people live their lives on my land. A father teaching his kid to ride a bike, a couple arguing about which paint color to use on their door. Normal life happening in an illegal place. My truck was parked where I could see it. The Precision Demolition Services logo stared back at me. I'd built that company from nothing, worked my ass off for 10 years. I knew buildings, knew how to take them apart piece by piece. But sitting there looking at all those families, I realized this wasn't about buildings, it was about people. And I had no idea how to demolish someone's entire life. So yeah, that's where I was 3 days ago. Sitting on a bench trying to figure out if I was about to become the guy who made 83 families homeless, or the guy who let someone get away with stealing from him. Honestly, I still don't know which one is worse. I went back to my truck and sat there for 3 days, just watching. Eleanor called me 16 times the first day, 12 the second. I didn't answer. I watched her through the window of the community center, pacing back and forth on her phone. She'd changed clothes but wore the same panicked expression. On day 2, she came outside and saw my truck. She walked over slowly like approaching a wild animal. When she got close enough, she knocked on my window. Her eyes were red, puffy. She looked like she hadn't slept either. I rolled down the window. Mr. Reynolds, she said, please, tell me what you want. Money? I'll get it. A payment plan? Anything. Where'd that 50 grand come from? She looked away. My divorce settlement. It's all I have left. You spent your entire divorce settlement on this? Not all of it. Most of it went to keeping construction going after my ex left. The $50,000 is what's left. I didn't say anything. She kept talking, words tumbling out like she couldn't stop them. I know what I did was wrong, I know. But please, just tell me how to fix this. These people, they didn't do anything wrong. They're good people. The Kowalskis in Unit 47, their son has autism, and this is the first place he's felt safe. The older couple in Unit 12, they're on a fixed income. This was their last chance at affordable housing. You should have thought about that before you forged documents. Her face crumpled. I wasn't thinking. After the divorce, I felt invisible. My whole identity was being someone's wife, and then suddenly I wasn't. This project, it made me feel important. People needed me, came to me with problems. I mattered again. So you built a fantasy. She nodded, tears running down her face. And now it's all falling apart. A woman walked past my truck, gave Eleanor a dirty look. Word was spreading. Residents had stopped making eye contact with her. I'd watched it happen over the past 3 days. At first, they'd approach her with questions, concerns. Now they walked past like she was invisible. Karma, I guess. That night, around 11 p.m., someone knocked on my truck window. I woke up with my hand on the knife I kept under my seat, but it wasn't Eleanor. It was a younger woman, maybe late 20s, with the same sharp cheekbones and anxious eyes. "Are you Mike Reynolds?" she asked. "Yeah, I'm Beth, Eleanor's daughter." She took a shaky breath. "Can we talk?" I got out of the truck. She led me away from the condos toward the empty lot at the edge of the property. When we were far enough away, she turned to face me. "Look, I know what my mom did was insane." She ran her hands through her hair. "I've been trying to fix her messes for years. This is the worst one yet. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm tired." She laughed, but it sounded broken. "I'm so fucking tired of cleaning up after her. Do you know how many times I've had to bail her out of shit? She gets obsessed with projects, convinces herself she's helping people, and then everything falls apart. Every single time." "What kind of projects?" Beth pulled out her phone, showed me photos. Eleanor standing in front of a failed bakery, Eleanor at a shut-down animal shelter, Eleanor holding a sign for a canceled charity event. "She can't finish anything," Beth said. "My dad used to say that's why he left. Said she'd start something with all this energy and passion, then it would fizzle out. She'd move on to the next thing, leave behind the mess. But she didn't leave this one behind." "No." Beth looked at the condos. "This time she went too far to quit. Spent all her money, forged your signature, convinced all these families to invest. She's in too deep. So why are you here?" Beth pulled an envelope from her pocket. "This is everything I have. $18,000. It's my savings, money I've been putting away for grad school." She held it out to me. Take it and let my mom off the hook, please." I didn't take the envelope. "Beth, I can't. She's going to jail, isn't she?" Beth's voice cracked. "When this all comes out, she's going to jail for fraud. And honestly, part of me thinks she deserves it, but she's still my mom." I looked at this woman, probably around my age, holding out her entire future to save someone who kept dragging her down. It made me sick. "Keep your money," I said. "You're going to need it for grad school, but this isn't your mess to clean up." Beth laughed again, that same broken sound. "You say that like I have a choice. She's been my problem since the divorce. You know, she calls me like 15 times a day, sends me photos of her latest projects, asks for advice, gets mad when I tell her it's a bad idea. I'm not her daughter anymore. I'm her therapist, her business partner, her emotional support animal. And I'm exhausted." "Then stop. I've tried." She wiped her eyes. "Every time I set a boundary, she has a crisis. Last time I told her I needed space, she ended up in the hospital with a panic attack. The doctors said it was real, not faked. She literally can't handle being alone. That's not your responsibility." Beth looked at me like I'd suggested something impossible. She's my mom. We stood there in the dark. The condos lit up behind us. I could see people moving in their windows, living their lives. And somewhere in there was Eleanor, probably pacing, probably panicking, probably calling her daughter for the 17th time that day. "I need you to do something for me," I said. Beth nodded. "Anything. Take me to wherever your mom keeps her paperwork. All of it. Everything related to this development." She hesitated. "Why?" "Because I need to see exactly how deep this goes." 20 minutes later, we were at a storage unit outside of town. Beth had a key. The unit was crammed floor to ceiling with file boxes, binders, folders. It looked like Eleanor had kept every piece of paper related to the development. "Holy shit," I said. "Yeah." Beth started pulling boxes down. She's obsessive about documentation. Says it makes her feel in control. We spent 4 hours going through everything. What we found made my blood run cold. Eleanor hadn't just forged my signature. She'd forged resident signatures on HOA votes for the past 2 years. Every decision, every rule change, every fee increase, all of it fraudulent. Nobody actually attended the meetings, Beth explained, reading through the minutes. Mom would schedule them for weird times like 2 p.m. on a Tuesday or 7 a.m. on a Saturday. Nobody showed up, so she'd forged signatures saying they voted yes on everything. Why? Beth shrugged. Control. If she scheduled real meetings, people might disagree with her. This way, she got to make all the decisions and pretend. Everyone agreed. I found financial records next. Eleanor had been collecting HOA dues, but instead of using them for community improvements, she'd been funneling them into construction costs. The pool renovation that residents paid for? Never happened. The landscaping upgrades? Never happened. The security system? Never happened. She stole from them, I said. Beth nodded, looking miserable. Technically, yes, but in her mind, she was investing in their future, making the development better, by lying to them. Beth didn't argue. She just kept digging through boxes, pulling out more evidence of Eleanor's deception. Fake contractor bids, forged permit applications, letters to residents with made-up emergencies. Look at this one, Beth said, holding up a notice. Dated 3 months ago, says there's a gas leak and everyone needs to evacuate for testing. But there was no gas leak, was there? Beth shook her head. I was here that day. Mom called me freaking out because nobody showed up to the emergency meeting. She'd invented the gas leak to get people to come, to make them think she'd saved them. When nobody came, she spent 2 hours crying in her car. Jesus Jesus Christ. She's not evil, Beth said quietly. She's just broken. After the divorce, she spiraled. Dad took everything in the settlement, said she never contributed anything to the marriage. She wanted to prove him wrong, prove she could build something important. This development was supposed to be her redemption. Instead, it's her destruction. Beth looked at me. Are you going to press charges? I don't know yet. We loaded the most damning documents into my truck. Beth gave me copies of everything, kept the originals in the storage unit. As she locked it up, she turned to me. Can I ask you something? Yeah, if you demolish those condos, what happens to the families? I've been trying not to think about that. Well, think about it, because whatever you decide, they're the ones who'll pay the price. Not my mom. She'll move on, find some new project to obsess over. But those families, they'll lose everything. She walked to her car and drove away, leaving me standing in an empty parking lot at 4 a.m., surrounded by evidence of fraud, trying to figure out what the hell to do. I went back to the development that morning. Residents were starting to wake up and heading to work, walking dogs. The Kowalski kid Beth mentioned was in the playground, his mom watching from a bench. The elderly couple was sitting on their porch with coffee, holding hands. Normal life, built on lies. I pulled out my phone and called my lawyer. Don't file the injunction yet, I said. Mike, we need to move fast just hold off. I need more time. Time for what? To figure out if I'm about to ruin 83 lives or let someone get away with stealing my land. I'll call you back. I hung up before he could argue. My phone buzzed immediately. Text from Eleanor. Mr. Reynolds, please call me. We need to talk. I can explain everything. I almost deleted it. Then I thought about Beth, exhausted from cleaning up her mother's messes. I thought about Eleanor sitting in that community center calling me 16 times a day, desperate for someone to need her. And I thought about my grandfather who'd left me this land. What would he do? He'd probably tell me to stop being a little bitch and make a decision. So that's what I started to do. I interviewed residents over the next few days, knocked on doors, asked questions. Most people were suspicious at first, thought I was there to kick them out. But when I explained I was just trying to understand the situation, they opened up. The yoga pants woman, turned out her name was Jennifer, and she'd invested $15,000 in amenities that never materialized. Eleanor promised us a state-of-the-art gym, Jennifer said, standing in her doorway in different yoga pants. We all paid extra for it. But there's no gym. She keeps saying it's coming, but it's been 6 months. Did you ever attend an HOA meeting? Jennifer laughed. Are you kidding? She schedules them at the weirdest times. I work. I have kids. Who can make a 2 p.m. meeting on a Tuesday? So you just signed the approval forms. What approval forms? I showed her copies of the HOA minutes. Her signature was on every one. Jennifer's face went pale. I never signed these. I never even saw these. One by one, residents told me the same story. Weird meeting times, promises that never materialized, signatures they never gave. Eleanor had created an entire paper trail of fake community involvement. The elderly man, George, invited me in for coffee. His wife, Linda, was in a hospital bed in their living room. Stage 4, pancreatic cancer. She smiled weakly when I walked in. We cashed out our 401k for the down payment, George said, sitting next to his wife's bed. It was our last chance to own a home before. Well, he trailed off, holding Linda's hand. I'm sorry, I said. Don't be. We've had a good life. George looked around the condo. This place, it's been good to us. Quiet, safe. Linda could see the garden from her bed. She always wanted a garden. I left feeling like someone had punched me in the stomach. I found Eleanor that afternoon sitting in her office, staring at nothing. When I walked in, she jumped up. Mr. Reynolds, have you reconsidered? Tell me about your ex-husband. She sat back down slowly. What about him? The construction company. What happened? Eleanor was quiet for a long time. We started this development together, she finally said. It was supposed to be our retirement project. Build affordable housing, help families. But halfway through, he got cold feet. Said the permits were taking too long, the costs were too high. He wanted to sell the land and cut our losses. But you didn't want to. I'd already promised people. We'd pre-sold 20 units, taken deposits. I couldn't just walk away. So he did. She nodded. Filed for divorce, dissolved the company, left me with all these families, counting on me. I didn't know what to do. I tried to get proper permits, but without the company behind me, nobody would approve them. So I kept going. Used the old company stamps, forged his signature on documents, whatever it took. And my signature? Her voice got very small. The county clerk needed a landowner approval. I found your name on the deed, looked you up. You were deployed. I figured you'd never know. You figured wrong. Obviously. She laughed bitterly. My ex was right. I never finish anything properly. I just make messes and hope someone else cleans them up. Your daughter's been cleaning them up. Eleanor's face crumpled. I know, I'm a terrible mother. She's wasted years of her life dealing with my problems. Then stop making problems. She looked at me like I'd suggested she stop breathing. I don't know how. We sat there in silence. Through her office window, I could see residents walking around, living their fake, legitimate lives. Jennifer was jogging. George was in his garden. The Kowalski kid was in the playground, laughing. Eleanor followed my gaze. They're good people, she said softly. They deserve better than what I gave them. That's the first honest thing you've said. Eleanor made up emergencies to feel needed. I learned that from about a dozen residents. There'd been 3 broken pipe incidents that weren't actually broken pipes. 2 security threats that turned out to be nothing. 1 electrical fire that was just a tripped breaker. She'd call late-night emergency meetings for these fake crises, and residents would show up, worried, only to find out it was nothing. At first, people came, Over time, they stopped. She just wanted us to take her seriously, one resident told me. But when you cry wolf that many times, people stop listening. Jennifer turned out to be Eleanor's only friend in the development. When I asked about their relationship, Jennifer got defensive. People judge her too harshly, Jennifer said. Yeah, she makes mistakes, but her heart's in the right place. She really does want to help. Even when she's lying to you? Jennifer hesitated. Look, I know about the fake signatures. I figured it out a few months ago. But Eleanor, she's lonely, you know? Her husband left her. Her daughter barely speaks to her. This development is all she has. I couldn't take that away from her. So you let her commit fraud. Jennifer's face hardened. I let her feel important. There's a difference. Is there? I left before she could answer, but her words stuck with me. Eleanor's been doing stupid stuff for years, Beth had said. And Jennifer knew about the fraud but let it slide because Eleanor was lonely. How many other people knew? How many people had decided that Eleanor's need to feel important was worth overlooking her crimes? I found Eleanor in one of the empty model homes that night. Around midnight, the door was unlocked. She was inside, arranging furniture by herself, moving a couch 2 inches to the left, then back, then left again. Eleanor, I said from the doorway. She jumped, dropped the couch cushion she was holding. Mr. Reynolds, I was staging the unit for photos. We're trying to attract new residents, and at midnight, she picked up the cushion, placed it carefully on the couch. I can't sleep. I walked into the room. It was fully furnished, decorated like something from a magazine. Everything perfectly placed, perfectly styled. Who's moving in here? Nobody yet. But I photographed these units for our social media. Show people what they could have if they move here. She pulled out her phone, showed me an Instagram account. Meadowbrook Living, 14 followers. I scrolled through the posts. Beautiful photos of furnished condos, happy residents, community events. Except the residents looked like stock photos, and I recognized the community events as staged. Eleanor had photoshopped people into empty rooms. You've been catfishing potential buyers, not catfishing. She took her phone back. Marketing, making the development look more established than it is. It's fraud, Eleanor. It's hope. She sank onto the perfectly staged couch. If people see a thriving community, they'll want to join it, and then it will become a thriving community, don't you see? I'm manifesting the future. You're living in a fantasy. Maybe. She looked around the empty room. But it's better than my real life. I should have left then. Should have walked out, called my lawyer, started the demolition process. But something about seeing Eleanor sitting there in her fake perfect room, surrounded by fake perfect furniture, photographing fake perfect lives for 14 people who didn't care, it broke something in me. Why did you really do this? I asked. She was quiet for a long time. When my husband left, she finally said, he told me I never finished anything. Said I was all talk, no follow-through. That I'd start projects with all this enthusiasm and then abandon them when they got hard. He said I was a quitter, so you wanted to prove him wrong. I wanted to prove I could build something that mattered, something that would last. She gestured at the walls around us. This was supposed to be my legacy, proof that I'm not a failure. By stealing my land and lying to 83 families. When you put it that way, it sounds terrible. That's because it is terrible, Eleanor. She stood up, started straightening picture frames on the wall. Do you want to know the worst part? She asked. I thought if I just built it, you'd be impressed. I looked you up online, saw you were military, figured you were a patriot who'd want to help families find affordable housing. I thought you'd thank me, thank you, for improving your land. Making it valuable, you had 5 empty acres doing nothing. Now you have a whole community. She turned to face me. I thought you'd see what I built and be grateful. Eleanor, I was in Afghanistan. I know, and I'm sorry. I really am. But I couldn't wait. The families needed, at least, somewhere to live, and I needed to prove I could finish something. So I forged your signature, and I told myself you'd understand when you got back. I stared at this woman, standing in her fake perfect room, defending her crimes as some kind of favor to me. And I realized Beth was right. Eleanor wasn't evil. She was broken, building fantasies to fill the hole her ex-husband left behind. But broken people can still do terrible things. Your daughter came to see me, I said. Eleanor's face went pale. What did she tell you? Everything. I showed her the storage unit records, all the forged signatures, the fake meetings, the money you stole from residents. I didn't steal, I invested. You stole, Eleanor. Call it whatever you want, but you took their money and spent it on construction instead of the amenities they paid for. She sat back down, covered her face with her hands. Is Beth okay? No. She's exhausted from cleaning up your messes. I know. Then stop making messes. Eleanor looked up at me, mascara running again. How? I didn't have an answer for her. I visited Eleanor's ex-husband the next day, took some digging to find him, but eventually I tracked him down to a construction office 2 towns over. He was younger than I expected, maybe mid-40s, still had a full head of hair. When I explained who I was, his face went dark. That development, he said. I should have burned the plans before I left. Why didn't you? He gestured around his office. I had my own company to save. Eleanor, she got obsessed with that project. Called me hundreds of times, showed up at my office, at my house. I had to get a restraining order. Because of the development? Because she wouldn't accept it was dead. He pulled out a file folder, slid it across his desk. These are the permit denials we got. The county said the land wasn't properly zoned, the environmental studies weren't complete, the property title had issues, we couldn't legally build there. But you started anyway. He nodded. Eleanor convinced me we could fix the problems as we went. Get the permits retroactively, sort out the title issues later. I was stupid enough to believe her. We pre-sold 20 units, took deposits, started construction. Then what? Then I got smart. Realized we were building an illegal development on land we didn't own. I tried to stop it, but Eleanor, she was so invested. Emotionally, financially, everything. She begged me to keep going, promised we'd fix it, but I couldn't. I dissolved the company, filed for divorce, walked away, and Eleanor kept building. He looked surprised. She actually finished it? 83 condos, all illegal. Jesus Christ. He ran his hands through his hair. I thought she'd give up when I left. I thought without the company behind her, she'd have to stop. She forged signatures to keep going. Used your old company stamps, of course she did. He looked tired. That's Eleanor. When she wants something, laws don't matter. Reality doesn't matter. She just bulldozes forward and hopes everything works out. It didn't work out. It never does. He opened a drawer, pulled out a stack of papers. These are complaints from the families whose deposits we never returned. 20 families, about $300,000 total. I've been paying them back slowly, trying to clean up the mess. But Eleanor? She never apologized, never acknowledged she did anything wrong. She just moved on to the next thing. Except this time she didn't move on. He looked at me curiously. What are you going to do? I don't know yet, but I own the land now, my grandfather's property. Then you're in for a nightmare. He stood up, shook my hand. Good luck. You're going to need it. I spent that night reading through the complaints he'd given me. Families who'd saved for years to afford those deposits. Families who'd been promised homes, then got nothing. Eleanor's ex had paid back most of them, but some were still fighting for their money. And Eleanor had just walked away, found new families to con. My phone rang. Beth. My mom called me crying, she said without preamble. Said you visited my dad. Yeah, she thinks you're building a case against her. I am. Beth was quiet. Then she said, do you know about the emails? What emails? She's been catfishing potential buyers, creating fake email accounts, pretending to be satisfied residents. She even created one for my dad, sending messages to buyers saying the development was legitimate. Jesus, it gets worse? Beth's voice shook. She's been pretending to be me too, telling people I'm an architect who designed the condos, that I'm proud of the development. None of it's true. I'm in marketing. I've never designed anything. Does she know you know? I just found out tonight. She sent me a screenshot by accident, forgot to crop out the fake email account. When I confronted her, she said she was trying to help me, that this would boost my career. Beth, I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Just tell me what you're going to do. Are you pressing charges? Probably. Good. Beth's voice hardened. She needs to face consequences. For once in her life, someone needs to hold her accountable. Even if it means jail time, especially if it means jail time. Maybe then she'll finally stop. We hung up. I sat there in my hotel room, surrounded by evidence of Eleanor's fraud, trying to decide if sending a lonely, desperate woman to jail would fix anything. Probably not, but it might stop her from hurting more people. The next morning, I started demolition on the empty units. I'd identified 12 condos that were completely unoccupied, never sold. I brought in my crew, set up the equipment, started tearing them down. Eleanor showed up within an hour. What are you doing? She screamed, running toward the demolition site. You can't do this. My foreman stopped her at the barrier. Ma'am, you need to step back. Those are my buildings. Actually, I said, walking over. They're on my land, and since they're illegal structures, I'm removing them. Eleanor looked at me with pure hatred. You're destroying people's homes. These units are empty. Nobody lives here. But they could. We had offers, people interested, more people you were planning to con. That stopped her. She stood there chest heaving, watching as my crew demolished the first condo. The walls came down easy, plaster dust rising in clouds. Within an hour, the first unit was rubble. Eleanor sat in her car filming the whole thing on her phone. I watched her through the window. She was crying, talking to the camera like she was documenting a tragedy. Later that day, she posted it online. Called me a heartless veteran attacking a woman's dream. The video got 3 likes.